All right, welcome back to Flecka Sucks, the podcast, episode 247. Today on the show, Snow White opened this weekend and it flopped. We're going to go over the numbers and tell you why it sucks so bad. Then, NYU got hacked and publicized their average SAT scores based on race, and it's not looking good for certain groups. Then, adult babies are diverting planes and hugging stuffed animals because of Trump in this week's Cringe of the Week. And last but not least, the homies is humiliating they Opps in this week's Urban Decay. All this and more is Flecka Talks, the podcast, episode 247, ranked the best news podcast of all time.
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words. But at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Very cool.
It's Flecka Talks, the podcast, featuring Richard Grab.
All right, one for one on the intro, as always. Guys, you've seen it before. When disaster strikes, grocery shelves go empty overnight. And the worst time to prepare is during the aftermath, because by then, it's already too late. That's why smart Americans trust My Patriot Supply to help them prepare before crisis strikes. And now, My Patriot Supply is making that easier than ever. Order their 4-week emergency food supply today and get 4 72-hour food kits completely free. That's almost 2 weeks of bonus meals at no cost. Each of these kits offer over 2,000 calories per day of delicious, easy-to-prepare meals that last up to 25 years on the shelf. That's real peace of mind. No empty shelves, no last-minute panic. My Patriot Supply has you covered. Stock up today before this deal disappears, because when emergency hits, food will be the first thing to go. Go to preparewithfleckas.com today to grab your kit, plus the 12 days of bonus meals absolutely free. Preparewithfleckas.com is the website. It's linked in the description. Thank you to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring. Let's get into housekeeping. All right, thank you to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring.
Thank you, My Patriot Supply.
Happy to have you back, Richard. You feeling better?
I'm feeling good. Yeah, and it's good to be operating at 100% again. I'm back to normal.
Good. We missed you, but we're glad you're back. We barely even noticed last episode. It's Tuesday. It's a business-focused episode as usual.
Okay.
We have a lighter housekeeping, but a packed Urban Decay, good Cringe, so we're excited to get right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah, and I think it's, we've been bogged down with a lot of heavy housekeepings recently, and then you won't give up the final page. You've only done that once on record. So it's good to kind of move some stuff around, and Urban Decay is good. I got a little passion project in there.
And there's a good final page today, too. I have some interesting updates for you guys when it comes to my Golden Tee golf scores.
All right. Nobody cares.
All right.
Keep it moving.
Our first story of the day, it's about potential jail sentences for the Tesla bombers.
Yeah, Trump put out this statement on Truth Social. He said, "I look forward to watching the sick terrorist thugs get 20-year jail sentences for what they are doing to Elon Musk and Tesla. Perhaps they could serve them in the prisons of El Salvador, which have become so recently famous for such lovely conditions."
I like to see that. And Trump's obviously trolling, and he does this too when he calls Canada the 51st state and Governor Trudeau or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's nice because there will be legal analysts who will spend hours analyzing this and getting mad and saying, why you can't do that, and then melting down on MSNBC.
Yeah, it's a little misdirection. He's harnessed the ability to troll more effectively in his second term, I think. And he just throws a perhaps in there. Perhaps I could do the worst thing possible to them.
Perhaps.
And then CNN starts going. Rachel Maddow, there's a red alarm in her office. So yeah, no, it's Canada's not going to become a state. They're not going to send these a Tesla Molotov cocktail person to El Salvador, but it's fun.
It is fun, and it gets people riled.
Yeah.
And when they're riled, they're distracted too. They have their legal analysts spending a lot of time on this, I bet.
Yeah, this is a constitutional crisis. Here's 10 reasons why, and then Trump sends a plane of Tren de Aragua to Venezuela behind their backs. Right?
That's what I like to see. All right, our next story, AOC and Bernie had some resist rallies over the last few days.
Yeah, I think it was a rally against the oligarchy, and they're trying to do the populist side of the Democrat coin. And breaking, it's been revealed that 84% of those who attended AOC and Bernie Sanders' Denver rally had been to 9 or more Kamala Harris rallies before. It's all fake.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, and I think that's based on the same guy who tracks the cell phone data, Tony Saruga.
Mm-hmm.
He had been tracking all the rallies and just insane numbers. They have a militant, tight little squad.
They run a good operation.
They run a good fake operation, but they just get their hitters everywhere. And it's people who aren't exactly the beacons of society, right?
Oh, 84% attended 9 or more Kamala rallies, and Kamala doesn't have any actual engagement. No one would ever want to go see her. So it's like a full loop of like, and it's all fake. Yeah. All right, our headline story, NYU was hacked over the weekend, and they released this graph that shows the average SAT score by race. So we're going to go through the points here.
Yeah, they were hacked, and then this was put on the main page. It's a simple bar chart, and it says NYU average admitted SAT score 2024. The average Asian, so these are people who got into NYU. The average Asian had a 1485. The average white had a 1428. The average Hispanic had 1355, and the average black had under 1300, 1289.
1289, that's like what David Hogg got.
Yeah, and he got into Harvard.
Not good.
Yeah.
And 200-point difference, that's the main takeaway. Between Asian and black, it's like a 200-point difference, which is huge. And keep in mind, NYU does not have a football team.
So there's no reason for some of them to be there.
Usually with the big sports schools, you have these huge teams and you make some exceptions for, 5-star athletes or whatever. NYU does not have that. So this is just pure admissions. And then everyone online is coping already.
Yeah. And I mean, this is just proof of something we've already known, we've seen. And me and you were talking before the show started, like, what do we do? What's the right number? And we don't know the answer. Is it kind of what the population is? And then you just take kind of the dumbest black person or Hispanic and you kind of match it with the population? Because Asians and whites are getting screwed. They're getting skewed. I think they did the representation and like whites should have 40% and they're achieving 30%.
So there's a problem there. But the problem, big picture, is if you go pure meritocracy, it's just going to be
Asians at NYU.
Asians and Indians.
And there will be whites in there too. Obviously, that was average.
And some whites. And if you go based on race and you break it down on like the proportions, then you're kind of playing the game they're playing. So I don't know. Maybe you have to keep into account American heritage.
And do some of the blacks deserve it based on American heritage? We got to take a couple 1285 blacks because they've been here for so long.
That's a good point.
And Asians got here recently.
Yeah.
A couple Chinese railroad guys in San Francisco, they really like to talk about them. But the broad majority are second gen, first gen immigrants, right?
So it is a up for debate issue. Let us know in the comments if you guys have any ideas how to handle this. A lot of people are coping. They're making excuses and trying to explain how these SAT scores don't actually mean anything. Can you read some of them?
Yeah, this was from a black commenter on Twitter. He said, "One thing that people never talk about is how much certain groups of people pay to train for the SAT. I knew Asians and Indians who literally paid tons of money to train for the SAT, then took it multiple times to ensure they got an insanely high score."
Yeah, it's called preparing for the test.
Wait a second. You're telling me the most competitive colleges in America, students are competing to get in there?
Yeah,
you got in with the 1285, your cousin?
Yeah, it's called taking SAT classes and getting familiar with the test that every college goes off of. And then some people are also saying like, well, SAT score doesn't actually mean intelligence, but wouldn't an intelligent person realize how important the SATs are to getting into college and then study for the test? And then wouldn't a non-intelligent person go, shit, it's only half day at school today. I'm going to smoke a doink in the parking lot, take this test, and get the fuck out.
Yeah, wonder what my ops are up to. Well, to be fair, those types aren't applying to NYU in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then we have some more cope here.
Yeah, this person, what was this? This was on some NYU message board or something?
Yeah, Reddit, I think.
It's Reddit, yeah, but with an NYU tag, and it says, "I mean, the data isn't some damning piece of evidence or anything. There's no significant trend that can be observed regarding the admissions process. It's just hyperbole."
Yeah, there's no trend. The graph goes like this.
Straight down, Asians 200 points higher. There's nothing to be gleaned from this information, and you go to NYU. So that person sounds Hispanic or black based on that comment, right?
All right, we'll do a couple more.
These patterns have been debunked for literal decades, and it's so tired at this point to act like you are oppressed because you take up 30% instead of 40% of the seats at school. Not to mention, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth that someone with the capability to hack the NYU website would use it for something as useless and petty as less black people in my classroom instead of stopping the fascist takeover of our higher ed institutions.
The fascist takeover, and as you guys know, I think most colleges are like 95% Democrat.
And then like the engineering department is 50-50. Republicans and Democrats. That's it.
There's probably a couple old professors who are like classic Republicans who say, I don't really like what Trump does on social media.
Yeah. So there's some denials, these people study really hard to take the test. And then there's it doesn't even matter at all.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Nobody's willing to have a serious conversation about it, right?
Yeah, we are, but...
And it's a weird solution. What's even the solution to it, right? But obviously some people have a way easier time getting into America's top colleges.
That's a good point. That's the takeaway.
And we've always posted those, there's like a Yahoo article or a news article that goes, this student got into all 8 Ivy League colleges. And then they're sitting back and you just, before even opening the article, you know it's a black person from New York or something.
With like 1,400 SATs.
Yeah.
Just decent SATs.
The game is the game. Hey, if you're a white person, pick up lacrosse, field hockey. There's ways to get into these good schools if you're looking for it. That's what I did. That's what you did.
That's what we had to do.
You can sneak in.
You can definitely sneak in. The good news is 20 to 30-year-old white guys are the most conservative group in America right now. Can you read that headline?
Yeah, you just said it. And the chart is here. And 20 to 30-year-old white men have eclipsed 75-year-old men.
That's what I like.
Yeah, so the older types have finally been eclipsed. And it's got to be a product of the environment that they grew up in. They were getting shit shoveled down their throats that didn't really sit right or ring true to them. A lot of these opinions all come down to the ring true test. Mm-hmm. Some woman teacher telling you in high school, and you're like, that doesn't sound right.
It's like, oh yeah, you're privileged. And it's like, my dad works in dirt.
Yeah, my dad, he like just got on the excavator.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Took him years.
But the opposite is true for college-educated women. That number is getting pretty out of hand. Can you kind of give that an overview?
Yeah, we've been analyzing this trend line on the show for a long time, and it just seems to be getting more extreme. NBC poll opinion of Trump, and it's white men no degree is plus 41, and then it goes all the way to white women college degree minus 38.
Then we have some more people that they polled, just their opinions of like Doge and Zelensky and DEI. And as you can see on the right, the white women numbers are all skewed to a very liberal degree.
They hate Elon Musk more than they hate Trump, which is fascinating. And they love Zelensky and they love DEI.
Yeah.
Crazy combo.
Can't believe it. And then we kind of like try to figure out why this is. And like, men are naturally somewhat resistant to propaganda. Like you said, there's like a ring true test that men do. Yeah. And then women kind of like are a little more susceptible to propaganda and they want to go with the flow and they want to be agreeable.
I don't want to make any waves here.
And then when you get it the way it is now in education, once you become educated, a lot of the education stuff is just basically like social Marxism when it's like, oh, you're oppressed because of the patriarchy. It's men versus women. And then those women usually have like a negative male experience from their life at some point, whether it's a dad or a teacher or someone who wronged them or dumped them in college. And then you have men versus women happening in real time. And then while that's happening, they flood our borders with third worlders.
Ooh, yeah. Bait and switch.
Bait and switch, it's called. There was a guy who actually broke this down. It's a little bit of reading, but RRB can handle it.
Yeah. He said the answer, someone asked, why is this happening? What's the explanation? And this Twitter guy said, the answer to this is very simple. Women are a standard deviation higher in trait agreeableness and trait neuroticism than men. This is biological and mostly immutable. Both traits are very useful and valuable when used towards the things they evolved to be used for, namely their compassion and politeness directed towards their in-group, kids, friends, and family, and their neuroticism channeled into hypervigilance into making this group happy and cooperative. The negatives of any extreme neuroticism were largely tempered or prevented entirely by men who protected them and their children. And number two, colleges convince women to redirect these traits away from their tribe into the higher order tribe of society. Women's biologically inbuilt worldview that everyone should be nice to each other, conflict should be avoided, and the weak and helpless must be protected is thus very, very easily hijacked and turned into a leftist political ideology. Why doing this is a really, really bad idea is also rather simple. but would take another post to explain.
So that kind of breaks it down. There's like, men and women by nature are certain ways. Yeah. But then when you have women removed from a more natural role and then they're just in society, in the workforce or in education, those tendencies they have get hijacked and they hate everybody.
Yeah, and I think the ability to hijack it with, the amount of propaganda that's been going on over the last decade or so, it's kind of shown how easy it is. And then men are the opposite. They've kind of taken a defiant stance to it. Like, you haven't proved anything. I don't just take this at face value. I'm not going to go along with the group just because the group is going.
Exactly, bro. All right, let's get...
But, hey, where do we go? What happens? How does this bubble out? The men become the Third Reich and women are the socialists or something?
I think over time it can kind of work itself out as long as you don't have unfettered third world migration. Like, men and women who see the world in a nice conservative way can get together and have families. The angry women who shout and are upset and have purple hair will have less children. And then the children of the conservative people will solve the problem in 20 years.
That's actually a part of it too, is women, as they marry and have families, become more conservative, but now are they not anymore? I mean, we know marriage as a trend has been on the way down, so yeah, we're headed for something stinky.
We're going to figure it out.
Something's going to get explosive.
It really has to. Yeah. And this next story plays a role in all this too. As you guys know, Snow White came out over the weekend, and then this headline said, Disney's Snow White has a sleepy box office start. We have some of the context here, some of the numbers. Can you give that a read?
Yeah, Snow White flopped at the box office. This was opening weekend, becoming one of Disney's worst performing movies in recent years. It made around $45 million over the weekend, and the movie had a budget of $240 million. And it's been in controversy over Rachel Zegler's woke outbursts in the run-up to its release. She's had a couple red carpet things where her interpretation of Snow White is I think she said Snow White doesn't need a man or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
The film is at a 2.4 out of 10 on IMDb and 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. Those numbers have since gone down. Last I saw, it was 2.0 on IMDb. But when a movie premieres like this, the next weekend it gets halved again on revenue or ticket sales, and then halved again until it's kind of nothing. And so I don't think it's making its money back.
It's not making its money back. And we have some differences from the original. Obviously, there's zero interest in this remake. Snow White originally was named Snow White because of her snowy white skin. Yeah. But this time they changed it, and now it's referencing a snowstorm that happened when Snow White was born. There's no prince this time as the love interest. Now she falls in love with the revolutionary leftist who tries to convince her to revolt against the queen.
This is all, you're getting secondhand information. You haven't seen it, obviously.
Jack Posobiec tweeted that.
Okay. So we can vouch for it.
I didn't see it, but I was told by Jack Posobiec, and he said, I swear it's true.
Someone did the research.
But it's real subversive globalist schlop. There's no dwarfs. I guess that's offensive, too.
Peter Dinklage, remember? We covered that when he first got mad.
There's dwarfs that probably want work, and they'll take a dwarf role, literally a dwarf role, and no dwarfs. We'll CGI those.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage, everyone talks about pulling the ladder up after you succeed, the boomers in the housing market. Oh, yoink. But Peter Dinklage really kept the midgets out of work.
Yeah, they did. It's messed up. Yeah. And the overall takeaway, it's not about making a movie that people want to see. Everyone sees this and they go, of course no one's going to see that. Of course it's going to flop. Like we called it. It wasn't even hard. It's about subverting a timeless classic. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in that way, you destroy Western culture, so we feel like we have nothing. So when all the third worlders come, we go, whatever, let them in.
Yeah, Snow White's brown. Who cares who comes across the border? Snow White's already brown. She's got back hair.
Who cares? We have nothing. Let them in. Yeah. That's a good point. Hairy back.
Yeah. That's not a Snow White trait.
That might be the worst part of all of this.
Yeah, this went viral on Twitter. Somebody pointed this out, had like 120 million views right before the opening of the box office.
More views than the movie.
The movie, yeah.
Hairy back.
So anything else you want to play from this? I mean, Rachel Zegler, she goes on Instagram and flicks off the camera and says...
Horrible attitude, flicks off the camera. And we actually have a clip of her getting interviewed when she's trying to justify why she should get paid more. And listen to what she says.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
She wanted to get paid when it was streamed online. Well, good news. That would have been a pay cut, I think.
Yeah, if you want to do it that way, you're going to have to give some of your salary back because they did not make the difference of the $300 million budget.
We have a WNBA situation on our hands here, Snow White. So cut the check.
And then notice how she didn't mention the crew or the other members in the cast or people,
the CGI people,
the production, the makeup. It was all about me, me, me. I deserve more money if it's being streamed for horrible attitude.
And you know what? I'm not one of those people who's like, this movie's woke. I'll boycott it. I'll never see it. That's not really the point. The point is big movie studios keep stepping in it and repeating the same cycle with some miserable bitch as the lead. And then like Wicked, I guess, did a little bit better than this. It wasn't as horrible, but they keep repeating this formula, learning no lessons and not giving the people what they want. Giving the people what they want is actually not even that hard. Just make her the whitest skin, Anne Hathaway type.
Anne Hathaway.
And then there's a charming prince. And then the story, like these stories come from like Germany in like 1400 or something. Like you really shouldn't be able to botch it. It's like a classic human nature thing. And then last piece, not to get housekeeping short. So
we're already into the final page. So go ahead.
We'll cook a little. Remember back in the day, like these old time movie studios where it's like, the lead actress, she's banging this guy. And then like they'd have like fixers and people to like handle it. And we can't mess up the release.
And we can't show that much skin. The church doesn't approve it.
There were all these old things that were like locking down. And now it's like, let Rachel Ziegler, this 22-year-old, say whatever comes to her feminist mind on the red carpet. And then she's nuking the $250 million movie budget by doing whatever. Old Hollywood used to have fixers and like henchmen types. And now they just let Rachel Ziegler say the dumbest shit you've ever heard.
And that's why I see it as intentional. It's not like they got together and were like, I think this will do well. I don't think their goal is to make money. I think their goal is just to be a subversive propaganda arm for the globalists.
Yeah, but eventually the subversive propaganda arm, if you keep making $250 million movies that don't make the money back, you're going to run out. And then you can't subvert or do anything bad anymore.
That's true, but I think Disney already makes its money from like Disney parks and merchandise and other movies. They already make so much money that they can kind of like afford to flop and destroy a classic for $250 million.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I think.
That's a fair take.
All right, we're moving on now to the final page of housekeeping. Believe it or not, we're already there. Make sure you guys tickle and juice. We need it. Comment, notifications, P.O. Box. Richard Rapway, feel better in the comments. All right. First things first, Albert Einstein.
Okay.
You know him?
Yeah. E = MC squared.
I think
physicist.
Not even that smart. Dr. Fauci of the time. Complete, made up, completely propagandized. Albert Einstein isn't even smart. He was the Dr. Fauci of the time, and the same goes for Jackson Pollock, the artist.
Yeah, he just threw paint at a thing. I'm more with you there.
And the CIA bought it. The CIA bought Jackson Pollock just to kind of ruin art and also win against like Russian artists at the time.
Okay.
I looked into that a little bit.
All right. Albert Einstein did make some, theory of relativity, right? Like those were groundbreaking technically at the time. That was discovered.
But does it hold up?
I don't know.
Is it gravity that does everything? I don't think so.
I'm not smart enough, but
neither am I. But they had the hair and the outfits and the mustache. And they go, this quirky guy's so smart. He wasn't. They brought Marilyn Monroe around him to help with his image or whatever, to prop him up and give him some juice. It seems like looking back, certain people wrote history and they made him like Dr. Fauci of the time.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
Something there.
All right, next, golden retrievers need to make a comeback. This is a thing that you were telling me, and I wrote it down.
Yeah, we don't have an asset for it or anything?
We can find one. Here's a golden retriever.
Golden retrievers. All right. This is a thesis that I have. Golden retrievers, they peaked in the 90s, right? And then they kind of got replaced by labradoodles, different breed. People got into huskies. They lost some of their popularity. I still think golden retrievers are the best breed.
And that's up there.
They're friendly. They're around babies. They go swimming. They play catch. They do it all. They're really smart. Golden retriever comeback.
Golden retriever comeback. And I think a part of the decline was there weren't as many family units and people living in the suburbs. Everyone lives in a city. Golden retrievers are big. They're really hairy. They're not really outdoor dogs when you live in a city. Less families. too many migrants. People don't want to have families because all the migrants are here.
It's a migrant thing, yeah.
It's the migrants.
It's all migrants.
It all comes back to the migrants.
I know, it's crazy.
All right.
Yeah, that's my point. Golden retrievers, I think, dogs are cyclical, like which are popular. And I think golden retrievers need to make a comeback and take the number 1 spot again.
That's a good point. All right, next, maybe the most important part of the final page of housekeeping. I shot a 28 on the front 9 of Coconut Cove in Golden Tee. A 28, 8 under.
You really waste my time with this shit. Nobody cares.
And I shot a 63 total, and I kind of botched the back 9, but 28.
Good for you.
All right, remember last show?
Spent a lot of time hovering over Golden Tee going, yeah, I got it.
I'm getting good. And there's Golden Tee tournaments, and I'm going to participate. I'm going to go on tour.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Next, remember last episode we talked about that Delta flight from the Endeavor flight that came in and clipped the wing and then it had to pull up and then landed normal?
Yes.
And remember I extrapolated and thought it was a DEI black woman pilot. And then the second time the normal captain, white guy landed the plane?
Yes.
And you were kind of like, it's a theory.
You were guessing.
I was guessing based on data. And it turns out I was right. There's a show watcher who works at the company. We're not going to say his name or her name to protect him. But can you read what he said?
Fleck, your assessment on the aviation incident with Endeavor Air was pretty much spot on. Am I reading this? Aircraft dispatcher for a major airline. I was also a flight engineer in the Air Force, almost 15 years of experience in aviation. Are we blowing him up with that? Is someone back finding his resume?
Figure it out.
All right, pilots switch legs, which means one pilot from A to B, then they switch, and the other pilot will go from B to C. One flies, and the other handles the communication to air traffic control. I've listened to the live air traffic control recordings, and the female pilot was flying this leg into LaGuardia. She shot the approach, encountered gusty winds, probably low-level wind shear, struck the wing. Then on the live air traffic control, you can hear the captain, male, say, "I've got the plane." That's pretty standard when the captain exercises his captain authority and assumes the pilot flying. So after the go-around, you were correct. The male pilot, that quote, "I've got the plane," means he took over.
So I got it absolutely right.
Yeah.
You don't need to apologize.
I won't, because you were guessing before, and then somebody actually did the work and found the air traffic control radio thing.
But I was guessing based on specific little pieces of information I had, and then I kind of ran with the theory, and then when I said it and thought it, it rang true. I got like reassurance from how it like settled in my brain, and then I knew to say it, and then I was proven right. It's all about ringing true, as you guys know.
Yeah. And
it rang true, and I went with it, and my intuition and discernment was correct. No big deal.
Congratulations. Let's get back to the Golden Tee. What'd you shoot at Coconut Grove?
Coconut Cove.
Whatever.
All right, next we have a pretty funny graph that's also sad at the same time. It's about Canada's effort to go green and reduce emissions. Yeah. And wait until you hear how much it actually didn't help at all. So there's the graph, and when they started the trend, you see a sharp downward spike.
Carbon tax begins April 2019, and then their greenhouse gas emissions drop pretty significantly.
And this guy tweeted it, and it summed it up pretty correctly. Can you give it a go?
Yeah, Chris Burnett said, according to this chart, the entire nation of Canada just spent 5 whole years fighting over a carbon tax that crippled the nation's economy to offset just 37 hours worth of China's carbon.
I like when we're smarter than everybody and we don't even know anything.
You hit yourself in the kneecap. You're Canada, everything energy, more expensive. It sucks. And then China just goes, more coal into the cauldron. We need a super dam. We need a dam in Chengdu.
What do we do with all this trash? Dump it in the ocean.
Put it in the ocean. And bring me the entire ocean floor from fishing vessels off of the coast of Argentina while you're at it. So China laughs.
And Canada goes, I don't know, guys. We have to upend our economy to help the climate change. So China laughs.
Once again, China laughs while the West cripples itself. So.
And we could have told you what to do, Canada. We could have said, oh, don't do it. China will laugh. China does whatever. Yeah. You can kind of do whatever, too. All right, next we have a statue being made by a robot.
This is a marble statue being carved by an automated robot.
This should be an uplifting.
And I like this. It's kind of a public beauty by any means necessary. I don't care if a robot did it, not a skilled craftsman.
So much better than a guy for hours chipping away at it.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
But
he probably had to learn from his dad how to do it, and like, well, you're gonna chip rocks all day? Get a robot to do it.
yeah, if you're building a new courthouse in Moline, Illinois, or some random town, let's make it beautiful. And I don't care if a robot had a hand in it.
I was kidding.
I know.
I was kidding about mine, like
About the Coconut Grove?
No, stonemasons, and like it's sad to see that, like the industry get destroyed, and then a robot makes it perfectly. And it probably costs less, and it probably goes faster. So there's like no reason. Like the market will unfortunately destroy the jobs, and then the trade of like stonemasons with that.
But how many stonemasons were carving beautiful statues still?
The graph goes like this over time, and now it's going to go to fucking zero.
Well, I think it was close to zero, and now we still have beautiful statues.
And then, yeah, that's true. But
So
then
I'm not for it, but it's like I do like the result.
But then if a solar flare happens or the second sun appears and it burns off all the robots, no one's going to know how to make any stonework stuff.
All right.
All right, next.
You're losing me.
Over the weekend, Trump went to the Wrestling National Championship.
Yeah.
And the guy who won is a Trump fan.
Yeah. There were multiple guys who won who were a Trump fan. Here's a video of one of them. This guy's wearing a dark MAGA hat, sees Trump, shakes him up. And this is a power move right here. Oh, actually, he didn't do it. I think one of the guys handed Trump the trophy and made Trump hold it.
That's nice.
That's kind of a power move. But yeah, they all paid their respects. Here's another guy in a picture. He draped the American flag over himself and hugged Trump.
And the Pepe meme became real.
Yep.
You love to see it. Wrestling is Americana. Wrestling is a tough guy sport.
Yeah.
And they all like Trump, and they're all Christians.
Iowa, Nebraska, some real powerhouses of wrestling out there.
And not to bring it all back to football, when we played football, that you go against all different types of guys. The hardest guys to go against are like Iowa, Nebraska white guys, thick, farm, strong white guys. Yeah. Those are the most brutal.
And Nigerian defensive tackles. They're pretty tough.
Yeah,
too.
Those are tough.
But you can break them.
You can break them. You just play to the whistle and be nasty. They don't like when a white guy's not scared of them. They don't like that.
Very true.
All right, our last piece of housekeeping before we move on to Cringe of the Week. Richard Ratboy, in his outfit, getting gelato the other day, was put into the Leaning Tower of Pisa photo, and it looks real.
There you go.
That looks exactly like you.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, that is the end of housekeeping. We're now moving on to Cringe of the Week. All right, our first clip of Cringe of the Week is an HR training video that isn't really based in reality.
I don't know how you kept a straight face.
Well, what can I say? It's all about the fine art of consulting.
Oh, thanks again, Jordan.
Of course. Oh, by the way, have you tried the new sushi spot on Canal Street? I'm checking it out Friday night after our meeting. You should come with.
To give context, this is the third time that Jordan, the consultant, has asked her out. Sarah is not interested in going out with him. In this scenario, if Sarah is uncomfortable being asked out by Jordan, the consultant, she should promptly speak to her supervisor. While the consultant's request for a date isn't by itself necessarily sexual harassment, if Sarah is not interested in going out with him, she should not go out with him.
Thanks for making time to see me, Angela.
Of course. I'm glad you came to me. But I really don't think you need to worry.
Well, it's just that I'm not really interested in him romantically.
Who said it has to be romantic?
All right. The HR lady kind of humbles her.
Yeah.
You should just say yes.
Yeah.
I think he likes you. He seems like a good guy.
Angela, what's going on at home? Couple cats, studio apartment? Maybe it's time to say yes to Jordan.
Yeah, 3 cats in a studio apartment. You're not getting any younger. This guy does pretty well.
What are you, 260, 275? Angela?
We used to have HR training videos when we worked in corporate jobs.
Yeah.
Do you have any good ones?
Yeah, no, I liked it. It used to be so insane. It would be like this black kind of disheveled guy, and he's actually the doctor, and you shouldn't have judged him. I used to screenshot my favorite characters from the training. And this, it's someone's real training because they're filming the computer screen with the phone. Like, nobody sees these videos outside of you in a cubicle being force-fed it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of used to like it. And then there'd be like a white guy in a white-collar outfit. He's in a button-down. And he's actually the criminal and doesn't have a 401k.
He's stealing data from the company.
So it's always backwards. And yeah, and they're setting this woman up. They set this woman up to be recorded on a cell phone video and made fun of on a podcast like this.
On a podcast like this.
She's turning down 3 dates from this guy who's like at least okay looking. He's not my type, but
he's a consultant.
She should probably be jumping at this. Yeah, he's a consultant too. So
yeah, I used to in our HR training. I in an analyst class would finish the training in like 2 minutes.
You skip through it. They have controls for that now.
And then it would say like, oh, this should take you 30 minutes. And I would be done in like 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then they figured that out. And then they were like, yo, everybody, they know, like they compare how long it should take versus how long you take to submit it. So like be wary of that. And then I would just fill out every question except for the last one. And then I would just wait 20 minutes and then submit that.
Yeah.
And then I got a follow-up and it was like, yo, they see how long you take on each question. So I had like 2 talkings to. The first one was kind of everybody. And then after that, no one was like cheating on the HR test anymore, except for me. And then it was like, yo, they still see what you're doing. Your graph goes like this.
It's crazy, dude, too. Like all work HR training should be about like not asking your coworkers out repeatedly. And then what to do when you're 5 drinks deep at the office Christmas party. There's like a very narrow set and they go way beyond the scope. And it's like you're judging this person who came into the office. It's like, bro, just tell me how to handle the Christmas party.
Yeah, exactly.
I can ask one person out. I'm allowed time.
Yeah, where else do you meet somebody? All right. Our next clip is about feminist microaggressions.
Yeah, this looks like a workplace as well. And let's see what these ladies are up to.
My act of microfeminism is that when I've just had a baby and when people come to my house, like a man and a woman or like relatives or whatever, I will always thrust my baby in the direction of the man first. So I'll be like, can you hold my baby while I, have a shower or something? Because women are always holding babies. We always expect it. So men can get used to it.
Sometimes in the lift, if a man, is waiting for me to go, I also stand and wait for him to go. So on every rental application and lease we've ever had, I've put myself as the primary contact, and every time a real estate or a tradesperson gets in contact and defers to my partner, I make him then re-loop me in.
Whenever a man calls me like sweetie or darling or gorgeous, I will call them that back.
So anytime
it's called just being rude.
Yeah, you're like kind of shoehorning in ideologies into random everyday interactions. It's like, oh, you're being passive aggressive and rude to me? I'm definitely picking up on that. And you didn't change anything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you're pushing back on traditional norms and you think you're doing something and you're doing like a feminist thing. This is what needs to happen while your government imports third worlders.
Comes back to the migrants again.
They don't care about social media trends. And soon it'll be like, oh, when I get groped on the subway by Abdul and I'm forced to wear a burqa, I don't talk because I'm not allowed to anymore.
Yeah, that'll be the TikTok soon. And what is this? Somebody's workplace? Some Australian office somewhere?
Yeah, and they all have that. And then in the office, in the workplace, they have like that up talk. Which is not good. And this is like normal behavior for a long time. Right? Mm-hmm. And normal people would like respond positively and whatever. And then like this type of attitude actually ruins it for everyone else. So now everyone's on edge. And then like the nice normal people can't interact and like be chivalrous or call each other, darling or whatever.
Yeah. And then soon the men will just pile into the elevator while you're waiting. And then you actually have to take the next elevator.
And then you'll go, damn, men, no one looks out for us anymore. Chivalry's dead.
And there's something about this too. Like when men like do the HR training incidents, when they're like moderately sexist or they do something like that, where they say something rude in front of a woman or on accident, someone else feels excluded from something. It's usually like unconscious bias, to use their HR term for it. It's usually they're not even thinking about it. And then these women are out here thinking about how I make like a microaggression at the men.
Yeah.
Just to leave the men like, whoa, what was that? Was she mad? And then like a man could get that message and be like, guess she was on her period. And then we're full circle back to like sexism and inappropriate gender in the workplace.
Exactly. And to close it out too, these types of social media clips only exist in very good times.
Yeah.
So like there will be bad times that eventually come. And then the good men during those bad times will like prioritize protecting and looking out for women. And then you'll kind of reinvent chivalry in a negative, like after a negative, instead of just being grateful that you have it carried over.
And sustaining it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the next time chivalry comes back is going to be like when the men stand up to the migrants and protect women on the subway or tell them not to wear a burqa or whatever.
And these same type of women, these women, not to generalize them too much, but when the guys stop offering you to go on the elevator first, you're going to be like, what was that?
Yeah.
That was a little rude. You're just looking to have your moment. So,
yeah. Oh, the building's on fire. Who's going to run in?
Chest passer out of the way.
I nose goes. You have to go, Deb. All right. Next, we have some immature people who are emotionally stunted. I don't know how you want to describe it.
Some adult babies. This is a minor adult baby section, and they're both babies for different reasons.
So the first guy is being told by the captain of the plane to hand over his lighter or they're going to divert the plane, and here's how he handles it.
This is your last chance. You will get the lighter back and get the Phoenix, but at this point in time, if you do not give up the lighter, I will divert the aircraft to Denver.
So the guy, you can hear him at the beginning, he's saying, I don't give a fuck. And the captain of the plane is threatening to divert from Phoenix to Denver.
And they also said, just give us the lighter and we'll give it back to you when we land.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, we're taking away my grandpa's lighter from World War II.
I don't think this guy even has a grandpa who fought in World War II.
So it's just like, we'll give it back to you, but he just like can't take an L to the point where he's going to divert the plane.
200 passengers are going to go to Denver now and have to all get on another plane because he won't give up the lighter. And so the baby aspect of this is the no phase of a toddler where they just go, no. Yeah. Oppositional defiance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is an urban type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of covered this theme before on the show with that littering woman.
That lady who was littering. And then when they called her out, she just said like, oh, what do you own the streets? Or I'm just going to throw it out after you leave.
Exactly. So we're noticing a trend where people revert to infant, toddler, no stage when confronted, even at the detriment of 200 people trying to get to Phoenix, Arizona.
And couldn't you, if you were in this situation, just zoom out and go, okay, I'm going to give my lighter. They're going to give it back to me when we land. And then we all land where we wanted to go. I'm just going to turn my lighter over. It's not a big deal. I don't know. Maybe it's not the rules or whatever, but the captain wants it. I'm not going to like cause a fuss.
Yeah. You ever been diverted?
No.
I got diverted once.
That would ruin my life.
Yeah. It took a whole day.
I would wrestle the lighter out of that guy's hand.
Yeah.
I would just steal it and give it to the guy just to not get diverted to Denver.
Smart.
Yeah. But when you're told, everyone's racist, there's white supremacy, you think like, oh, it's time to take a stand. I'm not going to let them.
He's even thinking that deep.
Nah.
He's just going, no. Whatever they tell me, no. I'm on the other side of it. That ain't right.
So
if I got through security, I should be able to hold it now.
It's my
I ain't gonna light it.
It's my lighter. It's my lighter.
Turns into a repeating phrase, and then all of a sudden you're in Denver waiting to get on another plane.
And all of a sudden you're in Cringe of the Week.
Yep.
All right, next we have another adult baby, this time with a stuffed animal.
When I'm feeling down, I find that a stuffed animal really helps me. So, when I think about the resumption of hostilities in Gaza, or the fact that the executive branch is now ignoring orders from the judiciary, or the betrayal of the Democratic senators who let the continuing resolution through against the will of their constituents, or,
All right, we get it. This person's a few ticks away from doing diaper play trans shit.
Yeah, trans baby diaper boy soon. The stuffed animals are leaning on. And so this is a different type of returning to baby where you can't emotionally process what's happening in politics. And I don't think a person like this who responds this way should be even paying attention to politics.
Or voting.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think someone like this films a video about stuffed animals because it genuinely helps her. And she thinks it can genuinely help someone else if they knew about how to hold stuffed animals.
Yeah, had this video of you get out. Did it get leaked? Did someone hack your phone? Like, no, I posted to TikTok. I thought it would be good and people would take stuff from it in a good way.
Yeah. So I don't know what the lesson learned from this is, but you got to recognize when people are reverting to being a baby and then avoid them and try to, handle them a different way than a real human, regular person.
She canceled your vote.
She canceled mine. I'll take that one. I'll take that.
You're canceled. All right, next we had a woman on the subway attacking a guy wearing a MAGA hat because he's wearing a MAGA hat. We have the interaction in the beginning, and we're going to fast forward after to the end.
That's why he won. Because people like you That's why he won. That is why he won, because of people like you need to stop it. Let him live.
Bro, just like, go. Chill, bro.
You're okay with that? He's a racist.
I'm so okay.
How can I be
He's
racist?
a racist.
Okay with it.
If you fucking voted for Trump, you're a racist.
So we get it. And there's a black guy in the background going, this is why he won. People like you. And that kind of like fries her worldview.
Yeah, and this guy is some sort of ethnic. He's not white, and she's calling him racist. And then here we're fast forwarding to when he's taking the hat off. She makes a grab for it.
And she tries to grab it. Well, it's been years since you ran.
Yeah.
Some real Looney Tunes shit.
Yeah.
The feet on the ground.
You humiliated yourself because I guess this falls into adult baby as well.
Yeah.
I forgot we were still on this theme. You couldn't handle yourself and now you're face planting in a rat infested subway station.
And what was the plan? You're going to steal the 20-year-old's hat and then outrun him or...
Yeah, with a group of 3 of his buddies, they were just going to let that happen. You're an out of shape older woman. Come on.
You ran 4 feet and you fell.
So she reverted to a toddler stage where
Yeah.
that's a different toddler stage. And then look, everyone gets hurt from the toddler stage reversion, except for the stuffed animal lady. I guess her public persona got hurt.
Her public persona and her inability to operate as a real person in society.
Okay, fair.
She'll never be her full potential. All right. Our next clip of Cringe is this person trying to bring the guillotine back.
What's your message to Elon Musk with the flag out here?
You want to repeat history, then get in the basket.
Okay. I know some people have been firebombing different Teslas. What do you think about those kind of protests against them?
I mean, the French do it.
Okay. I know people call him a Nazi. Do you think Musk's a Nazi?
He did the salute.
Yeah. One more thing. I noticed, I'll blur out if is what I think is your phone number.
No.
Are you going to get protest?
You see that there? She got scared by the cowbell. So the person who's going to put us in the guillotine got scared by the cowbell.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then we're going to fast forward to the end here. He's asking about the phone number on them's arm. And he does a close-up. Elad does a close-up, and there's like cutting yourself marks underneath the...
Classic.
So the self-harming, cowbell-fearing... Non-binary type is encouraging...
5'4",
fat, is encouraging guillotines. So who will be the person grabbing them up and putting someone in a guillotine? Not you. This is an advertisement looking to outsource that? Is that what we're at?
Yeah, it's a lot of rhetoric for someone who's the least capable of pinning me down.
It's a LARP, and, it's fun, but this type of person kind of needs to go to jail for a little bit. Just to clean yourself up.
El Salvador.
Yeah, El Salvador.
Send him to El Salvador.
Then CNN talking heads will be like, no, Donald Trump is sending this. 10 reasons why it's not constitutional. Yeah. And we waste their time.
Yep. All right, our last clip of Cringe, Jasmine Crockett with some violent rhetoric as well.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. I think and I love Colin, and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But it's Ted Cruz. I mean, this dude has to be knocked over the head hard, right? There is no
That was a metaphor.
That was a metaphor for the interview question should be hard hitting. And
I was being hyperbolic and shit.
And these people, these are the type of people who will run a Republicans using we got to fight. They'll use that in look at the violent rhetoric, but then they let Jasmine Crockett go loose, Like Rachel Ziegler on the red carpet. They let Jasmine Crockett say, knock him over the head with a hard-hitting question. Knock his teeth out with a question. That was a joke.
We need to hit him with a bat.
Yeah, exactly.
In the election.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the end of Cringe. Now moving on to Urban Decay. All right, Urban Decay. Our first clips are from our Humiliating the Opps section. This took place in a bodega. And look what happens here. Now's the time to leave.
Back door.
What's up? They got a handful. Bro, you know what's up. Come outside. Let me talk to you. They got a handful.
Knocked him out.
What's up? What's up? No, wait, I'm not gonna crash. What's up? Y'all niggas, what's up, bro? Touch me, bro. I'm gonna slap on y'all. I'm gonna clap one of y'all, nigga.
Rifle through his pockets.
What's up, bro?
Take whatever he's got.
Gonna fast forward a little bit here.
He come out, I'm gonna clap.
Oh, face stomp.
You get up, I'm police now. There's none of that.
Knock him out again.
Yo, what's up? How you in the back, bro? I'm on bad timing, nigga. I kill one of y'all little niggas, nigga. Let's go! Fuck y'all niggas talking about. Nigga, remember my name, you huh? Remember now. Don't touch me, bro. Let's go. Watch out, bro. What's up, bro? Y'all niggas is bitches, nigga. I'm gonna remember you, nigga. You a bitch, nigga.
So they knock him out multiple times, then take a picture of him at the end. And I think this is because they couldn't get a bank loan in 1950.
Yeah, I think this is because what was that? Black Wall Street?
They burned that
down. So that's now why he stomps his op's head and Snapchat records it.
They removed their investment opportunities. And then you have to knock out the Dominican guy at the bodega and take a picture.
It might be because it's a food desert. And there's no Whole Foods in the area. I don't know for sure
no
why.
Whole Foods.
But there's socioeconomic factors at play here for the second head stomp.
It would be any of us.
It could easily be me.
If there wasn't a salad bar at the grocery store.
So true.
All right, next clip from Humiliating the Opps section.
This is a funny video.
This is true Humiliating the Opps. They beat this guy up, and look how they finish it. With a major wedgie.
There's like 10 hands. They all knew to do a wedgie there. Look at him. They're dragging him by his underwear. And then this guy's the film director. That's young Spielberg. He's in his face with the phone. And this guy just got wedgie humiliated. I think this is actually the precursor to someone doing 2 Glocks full auto into a house.
Or, yeah, this is how you get like a school shooting no one hears about.
That's what I'm saying. This is the type of thing, the humiliation, multiple camera angle, atomic wedgie over your head, dragged in the street.
Well, this is probably because they don't have reparations.
I ran out of things. I used all my probablys on the first video. I see you wrote them down.
If they had reparations, it's called Doesn't Get Better.
Yeah, this is probably because someone's dad walked out earlier in their life or something.
And they didn't learn how to handle the emotion.
I'm running out of it. I used them all.
All right. Next, we have a 19-year-old freshman in high school.
I don't know if that's true.
That's what people were saying online.
People were saying that, but I couldn't verify it in any of the news articles.
So unverified, but it seems like a 19-year-old freshman in high school.
2 19-year-olds.
2 19-year-old freshmen in high school is beating up a teacher.
Punches are repeatedly thrown in this video, all against a teacher who was already on the ground. The man wearing navy blue is a substitute at Dillard High, and the teen wearing all black is a student. The violent fight playing out in front of a rowdy crowd on campus.
They had problems with like a substitute teacher and they just jumped him.
2 students have since been arrested. Javis McClover, seen on the left, and Roderick McQueen on the right. Both are 19, and each now charged with battery on an educator.
All you saw was just like a...
Very nice.
Javis and Roderick.
I have a cousin, Javis.
Javis? Yeah, and I got a buddy named Roderick. 19 years old, beating up a teacher. I think it's time for your GED, brother.
Yeah.
It's not time to be in a taxpayer-funded high school. We'll use that property tax money on somebody who ain't assaulting they teacher.
And everyone else is just filming and laughing, and it's just like a crazy day at school.
Yeah, they like it. They like the action, which I don't blame them. I would probably be like, oh, they attacked the teacher. But it's kind of like a shitty school,
Yeah, and maybe the substitute teacher, I'm sure he was talking shit back.
I don't know, maybe.
But if it is true that they were 19-year-old freshmen, which people online are saying, that would mean that they're an 18-year-old 8th grader.
Yeah, that's a 6X held back. That's held back 6 times.
And that's a 23-year-old senior, and then there's like 14-year-old girls in the school with you. Something ain't right.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, though. People were saying that online, but I don't mean to cast doubt on you. You were right about the air traffic control thing.
Hey.
But how can you be a 19-year-old freshman?
Rings true. Those guys look 19 when they are 19, but I think it's a 19-year-old freshman.
And when you're a high school kid and you beat up your teacher and you're 16, they can't release your mugshot or your name because you're still a juvenile and they have to kind of protect you. But now we got Javis and Roderick.
And I think I figured out why this happened. There was an article that came out recently. Nearly half of American children live in a book desert, neighborhoods that lack public libraries and stores that sell books, or in homes where books are an unaffordable or an unfamiliar luxury.
Yeah, that was Randy Weingarten. I think she ran the Department of Education under Biden, or maybe one of the largest teachers unions. But that's a new phrase they've come up with. They've squeezed all the juice out of food desert, and now they're on to book desert.
They couldn't learn. They had nothing to read.
They couldn't get a book. They couldn't get a single book.
But depending on where you live in America, that wouldn't even matter because according to this graph, and we've mentioned this before, there is not a single student that can read at grade level in 30 Illinois schools. So even if there were what's the opposite of a book desert? Book lake?
Yeah, a book reservoir.
A library?
Yeah, pretty much.
So even if they did have books nearby, a lot of kids can't read anyway.
Yeah, and I think we have shown this before. This is like mostly city of Chicago schools where kids can't even read at school.
We've showed it in Baltimore too.
Yeah.
So that's maybe what's going on there. There's not enough books around, and it's not the parents' fault. Not that your parents never taught you to read. It's just there's not enough books nearby that you could pick up and read, even though everything's online these days and everyone works a computer.
And this chart has school spending per student, and a lot of them are up to $20,000, $25,000. There's a $35,000, $50,000+, but they can't get their books. And that's why I had to stomp out substitute teacher.
And that's why you do what was done in our next clip. So when you don't learn at school and you don't read, what do you learn? You learn how to loot the Amazon truck in Dallas.
It's like they work together. One of them's throwing the boxes to a middleman, and they're all dumping them out.
They're smart. That's assembly line shit.
They know how to work together. Is that a white woman?
Might be.
You should not be there.
And everyone's laughing.
And they go to the car. They're working together. I've never seen them work together like this. Cohesive unit.
It's like National Geographic. Very good.
Yeah.
So that's the end result. There are some opportunities for young entrepreneurials.
Gotcha.
And then we have another stat here, which isn't fully related, but you know how everyone says defund the police, and we say don't do that?
Yes.
There might be some police that you want to defund. Can you give this a read?
Yeah. Uber driver told me San Francisco PD officers make $600K a year for driving in circles and sleeping in their car on graveyard shifts. I was like, oh, I bet it's tough. And he was like, nah, cops don't do shit in San Francisco. He's joining the police academy because his cop friend just bought a Lambo. That's the anecdotal story. I don't know how true it is, what's hearsay or what's not. But this was recently published. The San Francisco government employee compensation chart for the police department was published, I think, by one of the newspapers in San Francisco. It's all public data because it's government jobs, so you have to show people's salaries. And here are some of the people. Joseph Reyes, police officer 3, he made $626,000, and he had overtime pay of $45,000. That's actually not the best example, but this is a list of everybody, and their total comp, $800,000, $765,000, $723,000, $644,000. A lot of police officers making over $500,000, over $500,000 a year in San Francisco, and the majority of it is in overtime pay.
That makes sense.
They're all getting double their base salary, or most of them. Double $446,000 overtime, $456,000 in overtime pay, $380,000 in overtime pay.
And San Francisco's crime problem is not going down.
Yeah, so this isn't exactly it's not bonuses. It's not like, whoa, a zero crime day, no murders in San Fran, here's $100. It's all just people milking the system.
We got to defund those police.
Defund those individual police. Well, here's the thing. You're paying these, San Francisco, hotbed of liberalism, right? You'd think they would have corrected this somehow. And I don't blame the cops for taking advantage of the free overtime. If I was getting time and a half,
I'd be all night driving around going like this. You good?
I'd be the number one crime fighter. And but they could hire basically double the amount of police and then still save money if they eliminated overtime. Isn't that weird?
That's interesting.
And they don't even solve crimes. All
right.
We're friend of the police on this show for the most part.
Of course.
But that's not a good look.
Not a good look at all. All right, we're moving into our last leg of Urban Decay. This one, we're going to be talking about food stamps a lot, and then EBT, which is food stamps, and then the economic climate out there.
Okay.
Can you start with the first thing?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys were paying attention on Twitter this weekend, but a lot of people got paid to post pro-SNAP soda purchases, which we've been against on the show for like a long time. We've been saying, please, RFK, take away their candy, soda, and EBT. And so it sparked a conversation, a broader conversation online. And first asset we have here is this guy, Mark Mitchell, says, whoa, Snap is about 25% of Coke's revenue. No wonder Big Soda is paying conservative ex-influencers.
That makes sense.
And so I think that was, he asked Grok or an AI, and it said, this is a rough estimate, so don't take that number too much. But Snap and government-funded Coke products make up a big portion of their revenue. So it's severely in their interest.
And the AI did say that it could be up to 40% or more. So it's like the 20-something percent was a low-end estimate. Could be up to 40%, which is like half, as you guys know.
Yeah, and here's an example of one of the influencers who got caught, Ian Miles Chong, that guy who's from Malaysia and only talks about American politics. He said, a new war on soda has begun, targeting purchases made through Snap. I don't believe it's the government's role to decide what people should or shouldn't eat. And basically, this guy took some of the money to post about this, we believe, and went with the government overreach angle. Like, the government shouldn't tell you what to spend the taxpayers' money on that you're getting for free.
Yeah.
Which is a fascinating take. And I don't understand why they even did this. This is like not something that conservatives can even believably support. So it was a total misstep from this.
He totally misstepped. And then also, which is even worse, Ian Miles Chong 4 years ago, almost to the day, said Coca-Cola subsidizes food stamps. They want you to become fat and addicted to sugar.
Yeah.
So he had it right.
He had it right, and then it looks like he took a payment of some kind.
They took the money.
And there was a bunch of different conservatives who had all said like some boilerplate tweet about how fat fucks should get their soda if they're on government welfare.
And it's just
crazy.
So random.
That's conservatism. Crazy take.
And it's all random. And it's like, okay, I get. Like, I don't know why everyone's talking about this all of a sudden.
Everybody on Saturday just decided to go after that.
And then Riley Gaines tweeted that she denied this campaign and did not take the money. And then RFK replied to her.
She said, RFK said, thank you for your integrity, Riley. It's troubling that some companies now think they have a right to demand taxpayer money to poison our children.
Very nice.
So it's on RFK's radar. RFK, take away their candy, soda, and EBT. Just candy and soda on
Poppers.
EBT. Take away their poppers. You already did that. Thank you, RFK. But this is a pet project of ours. We don't want to be paying for some shit. And do we have the assets in here? Yeah. Here's an example of some things. Here's a not so secret because it's on the website. Amazon, you can spend your EBT cash on Amazon. They're megacorp. Of course, they're going to try to absorb some of those dollars spent. And here are some things that you can spend EBT on. Nerd gummy clusters. That's a favorite of the show, but it's disgusting chemical slop.
It'll ruin your life.
Oatmeal cream pies. Those are pretty healthy. The giant Reese's pantry pack, 25 cups. That's EBT eligible. The family pack of Gushers, EBT eligible. And Oreo double stuff with 1 F. I don't think they're legally allowed to spell it with 2 Fs because that would imply that the stuff is actually something. Instead of chemically, produced in a lab somewhere.
They don't want to get caught legally promising stuff.
Sir, legally we can't say stuff with 2 Fs. It's not even stuff.
It's not stuff.
But yeah, so
it's just chemicals.
This is the type of shit that someone can spend. And I don't really know exactly how EBT works. I've never used it, but I think you can kind of just run up, like if you have like $200, you can just load up the cart with Reese's. Like there's no like you must spend X on meat and X on seafood. You could just fill up a cart of Reese's and have a candy party if you wanted to.
All right, let's finish with some pace towards the end of Urban Decay now. Everyone
No, I refuse. Because we'll waste our time in Uplifting Gold.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say no.
Let's go.
We need 2 keys to turn this submarine.
All right, we're going to go normal speed. Now everyone's poor. Everyone's poor and has no money, and it's getting to the point where people are financing their DoorDash.
Yeah, DoorDash and Klarna have signed a deal where customers can choose to pay for food deliveries in interest-free installments.
That's not good. And then we have some jokes, collateralized burrito obligations.
We are selling pad thai in installments to willing buyers at the current fair market price. There's only like 3 finance movies where all memes come from.
Yeah.
The Big Short, Margin Call, and maybe The Boiler Room. I don't know.
Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, that's true.
Wall Street, Gordon Gekko.
Yeah.
There's some good ones out there.
Okay.
The Big Short.
That's the one.
Margin Call.
Those are the two I mentioned. So you wanted to move fast, you said?
Well, as you guys know, I do have a finance background, so I'm going to give, I don't know, somewhat of a sophisticated take here. So if it's not for you or you don't understand it, you know, watch it again.
Take your Series 7 and get back to them.
Yeah, or just rewatch it on slower speed. You might be able to understand. The problem when you finance burritos and Chipotle and Burger King is you're instantly underwater because by the next day, you're just paying for poo.
Yeah. So technically, you're paying for shit in your guts.
Like, oh, I owe $1,400 in Burger King and burritos, and that food's gone, man. I'm not paying this shit.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen, and then you get a bubble.
For sure.
That's what happened with the housing crisis. Like, oh yeah, I bought a second house and a jet ski, and that $400K house is now worth $275, and I owe $350 on it. I don't want this shit.
Yeah.
And then you go like this, and you walk
dump
away.
it. Yeah. You leave the keys, and the bank takes it. Yeah.
I don't want. So it's like, yeah, I ate that burrito 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about? What am I paying for the burrito from 2 weeks ago? It's not gonna. So you know, there's a little finance inside baseball.
Yeah, but I guess we'll continue with this. This was just one asset that I saw. Percentage of borrowers at least 60 days late on their car payments is at the highest on record. That's kind of a blaring sign. People bought a lot of cars that were overpriced in that post-COVID market when dealerships were just doing markups. And then anybody who's buying after that markup phase has higher APR, higher interest payments on those cars. So people are getting behind. And that's why I guess some people might need to finance a burrito in 4 installments. But since we're recognizing all these issues, EBT, what's government welfare and what's not, we have another thing we want to blow the whistle on. And this is FHA loans that are being backstopped by the government. FHA is, I think, Federal Housing Authority. And it's a type of loan that you can get if you have less money down. Everybody can get like one if you're a first-time home buyer. And you can get a house if you have less than 10% or if you have bad credit or whatever. And then I recently found out that the government is doing something sketchy with people who go delinquent on FHA. And we're going to play this video here because this is something that not really in RFK's wheelhouse, but if Elon figured out this was happening, I think it would be put to rest.
Elon,
right?
please help us.
Elon, help us with evict these FHA foreclosures. So let's just play the video and hopefully you guys understand what's going on.
Under the guise of pandemic relief, the administration masked the growing troubles in the housing market by paying off borrowers and mortgage servicers to prevent foreclosures. Of the 52,531 FHA loans last year that went seriously delinquent within their first year, only 9 resulted in foreclosure. The FHA actually introduced a program that pays mortgage servicers to make borrowers miss payments for them. Missed payments are added to the loan's principal but without interest. It's essentially a glorified government grant. The FHA also pays servicers to cut monthly payments for delinquent borrowers by 25% for 3 years, with the payment reductions also added to the principal without interest. Essentially, the government got rid of bankruptcies. In this specific case, he found an FHA loan for a guy who took out a $236,000 loan at 3.5% in Tennessee in early 2020. The first due date on this loan was the 1st of May 2020. From July 2020 to July 2022, a period of 26 months, including the May 1st date, this guy made 0 payments. That summer, the FHA stepped in and provided a partial claim of $38,000 to cover the missed payments in that period. This brings the loan current, meaning the arrears are paid off, but it added a 0-interest subordinate lien to the back of the loan. Essentially, this is just a government payment with a promise that the borrower will eventually pay later or when he sells the house. So this man in Tennessee is now 2 years into this house, living basically for free, but it gets worse. From July 2022 to April 2023, a period lasting 9 months, this man in this real example once again makes 0 payments. And again, the FHA issues a partial claim of $13,000 to cover the 9 months of missed payments from 2022 to 2023. This once again brings the loan current, adding to the 0-interest interest subordinate lien. The borrower has now been in the home for 3 years without a single payment, but it gets worse once again. From April 2023 to November 2024, 19 months, this borrower, you guessed it, makes 0 payments once again. 5 years without a payment since the loan started in May of 2020. Now it's
wow.
Basically, they go on to say that they reclassify or reorganize the loan, give him a higher interest rate, and basically tack on that to the principal that he owes. And so our government is basically like, for these FHA loans, picture in your head the type of guy who doesn't pay his mortgage for 5 years, right?
Starting immediately off the bat.
Never makes a payment, 5 years straight, never makes a payment. You know who that kind of guy is, right? Tennessee, $236,000, he's living in a shitty house. So basically they're doing like, they're backstopping this type of consumer. And then a guy like this is occupying a house somewhere, not facing any consequences. And he's probably so dumb that he's like, well, my credit's shot. I owe way, like they keep adding to his loan balance. No way his house is worth more or worth even close to the loan balance. So how does something like this end? A dumb guy like this is probably just like, well, at least I got rent for free for 5 years. And then he spends all his money on other shit, seafood boil. I don't know what he would spend on a guy like this. I'm picturing someone in my head.
Crab legs,
probably king crab. And then so all his discretionary spending, because if he has a job, he probably had a job at the beginning of this loan at least. He's now spending it like and creating inflation because everyone's biggest monthly expense is your rent or your house, usually until it's paid off. And so now he's just like flooding the market with, demand for other stuff because none of his money goes to his house. He's taking up a house that should have otherwise been foreclosed like within 8 months. How much grace do you get on a mortgage?
Like naturally, if it played out, he would have to sell the house. It would be back on the market. He might have to take a loss on it. The housing price goes down, or
Of course.
like it's just an unnatural prop up.
But yeah, and then this said there were 50,000 plus seriously delinquent last year. I think this might have been 2024 or 23. I'm not exactly sure, but this is a huge problem, which basically amounts to welfare. This is like a government stepping in and doing all these things, giving you these chances. This guy's lived for free, not making a single payment for 5 years, basically receiving a different form of welfare that isn't treated as a form of welfare because it's not like on the book like that. The government just keeps shifting it to this guy's loan, but they're basically allowing him to live for free for 5 years in a house that otherwise should have already turned over. So I don't know. This got me feeling, I want to use some Big Short memes now.
Mm-hmm.
This got me feeling like another little bubble.
Similar
like
to
a stripper
financing
who has 3 houses.
Yeah, it's like similar to financing your burrito. You're financing your financed mortgage.
Yeah.
You're financing your financing.
Keep adding to it. So, I don't know.
Financing your financing is where it gets a bubble.
This really alarmed me, and I have a feeling if any of the adults in Washington, like Elon or those types, knew this was happening, this program would end almost immediately. So.
Yep. All right, well, that's the end of Urban Decay. Don't get too down or too depressed. We're moving on to Uplifting Gold. We have some good uplifting today. Nothing crazy. I did not phone it in, though. Our first one, remember the guy last time who rode his motorcycle off the ramp?
Yes.
This is similar but different.
Oh, no, too much. Holy shit. How did I do that?
How did I do that?
Another Australian.
Isn't that great? He just landed it, and it was like a scientific miracle. It was like a physics miracle.
Yeah.
But it worked, and it's uplifting. All right, next is uplifting because people are raising their kids correctly.
Oh. Wait, look. Chemicals. Oh, no! Yeah, chemicals. There's chemicals in that. The
Plain spray them, she says.
There you go.
So if someone's teaching the kids something, that's good.
Yeah.
Chemicals in the sky. The babies know, and it teaches the other baby. That's huge. All right, next we have a smiling dog.
Smiling Chinese dog. Put his teeth in.
And he laughs. He likes it.
All right.
He knows it's a bit.
Okay.
The dog's doing a bit.
All right.
Okay, next, this ferret has a job.
He puts a string on the ferret. Looks like some sort of fishing line type thing, and he needs that string to go through the drainage pipe.
And then here comes the ferret on the other end.
And look at how he does it. He tickles the pipe, so he goes, come this way. So the ferret knows to come. And he grabs him out.
And he helps. The ferret has a job.
That's nice.
We had a ferret in college. Our group of friends did.
Yeah.
He was good.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
How old the ferret?
Yeah.
Remember we had a football coach.
We had a football coach.
Black football coach. And he was very concerned that we had a ferret. And he goes, man, that's a gay animal.
Yeah.
And he thought it was digging around in people's butts or something. I don't know what he thought.
How old the ferret?
Yeah.
And then he would go, what the ferret name?
This was at Dartmouth. What the ferret name? He was a good guy, though.
He was a good guy.
Yeah.
We had fun. All right, next is Cannoli Boy. This is just good news in general.
So he comes up and he's got the cannoli.
You got a little cannoli setup. You seeing this?
Yeah, that's a guy you want at your wedding. Cannoli
I
boy.
didn't know they even did stuff like this.
That's good.
And it makes sense, and it's probably not even hard. It's easier than scooping ice cream. You just go, boop, boop. Here you go, boop, boop.
Yeah.
So Cannoli Boy, guys.
I'm bullish on cannoli boys.
As well. Maybe you can finance some Cannoli Boy. Maybe you can finance a Cannoli Boy business.
Okay.
All right, next.
I don't think it takes much, to be honest. But someone will be in foreclosure very soon.
All you need is like the $100, and it's probably not even $100.
I know.
This $40 thing that you just
Look
pulled
at,
in.
if you look closely, he says cannolis by Mike. That looks like a tote thing you get from
Tupperware.
Tupperware, yeah. That doesn't even look that hard. Good for him.
You just need to know how to make good cannolis.
Hey, cannoli boy, that's a good business. If you're not ashamed to be a cannoli boy, that's a good business.
You make $1 million.
Yeah, you go to a wedding, be cannoli boy. Hey.
You go on the street, be Cannoli Boy, people will buy it. Also, the sign of good cannoli is the cream goes all the way through the whole thing.
What do you mean?
Sometimes, if you get a big cannoli, they'll put it on one end and on the other end, and then in the middle, it's kind of hollow.
Ooh.
So my grandma always had the best cannolis, and she would always say, the cheap places only fill it on the edge. You need it filled all the way through. But that guy was doing mini cannolis. Real cannolis are like this big.
Yeah. I'm familiar. Trust me, I'm familiar.
Cannoli Boy. All right, our second to last clip. We had to take the music off because it's copyright music. It was probably like Pink Pony Club or something. Yeah. But this guy, it says POV used to be gay, but we're saved by the Lord. So he's very gay here, twink shit, traveling the whole world, being homosexual.
Poppers, prep. You guessed
underwear.
It. Oh, his ass was
showing his ass, underwear, bottoming, and now he became a man.
Now he's playing
and
soccer.
He's a normal guy.
Is this uplifting gold? I mean, I guess, yeah, it's better than what he was doing, but you believe him? You believe him?
You know?
Or do you think the first urge that hits, he's got really skinny legs, too?
I think being gay is a traumatic response or a trauma response.
Interesting.
So you can kind of like rewire your brain if you like do keto or something and just get back to basics. You fast for a little bit and you get back to like, all right. But then that guy...
I have a hard time believing somebody who was that gay is now a normal guy. He's now regular, and he's at the gym, and he likes chicks.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he's a coos hound.
I don't think anyone's...
if I may use that phrase.
I don't think anyone's actually gay.
Yeah. Well, you got me there. But when he's deep in it, again, this is one of those things where the extremes, you're bouncing off extremes, and then you go the exact opposite. How did you do that? I get it. You know, I get what you're saying.
Well, it's uplifting because
he's not in the Pink Pony Club shit anymore.
You're not getting twinked out.
Okay.
All right, our last piece of the whole show, we got a shout out. Looks like it's some sort of convention center or an event.
Yeah.
And they put the show up.
That's good.
That's really
when someone has access to an event like that and they're early and they take that opportunity to do the show, thank you.
Thank you. That was sick.
We salute you.
We do salute you. And also, imagine if that was filled with people, how many devices you would need to get the real views.
I know.
A lot of you guys watch with people or your wives or whatever. So you always make sure you're doing the right amount of views per device.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys for watching. Motherfuckers Talks in the Books. Like,
Did
share,
we go
subscribe.
too long?
Yeah, well, we went a little long.
I'm back.
He's back.
We can do a long episode. It's no big deal.
Yeah, long episode that happens. If you guys want even more episode, another 30 minutes, we're doing Bonus Land right now. FuckUsTalks.com is the website.
We have a good bonus land today,
We have a great bonus land today.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on Friday.
This is the third time that Jordan, the consultant, has asked her out.